Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm all right, Miriam. How are you?
Hanging in there. This is the first week since we've been doing the show where I feel like I don't know where my week went. Like it just like by. I mean, just straight up gone. I got everything done, but I feel like I wasn't part of my week or something. Like it was just somebody pressed play and I was still in the other room. You know?
I have. This week has been a little bit like that because like my bill bet has not been excessive, but I've just had lots of work stuff, right? And then it also kind of feels like it shouldn't have taken as long as it had, or as long as it has, and that I should have had more free time. So I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy, I guess, because I mean, last night we recorded podcasts for Sales Throwdown from 6:30 until 9, so recorded 2 episodes, and it's weird because like you can work whenever you want. That it's like you can just work whenever you want. Like there's no real boundary on it. Good morning, Michelle. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
But yeah, I have felt that this week as well. Like, holy crap, where did it go? Right. And I was putting on a shirt like just now because like I was like, I need a power shirt because it's Friday and I'm not done. But I've done good work this week, right? And so there were some weeks where it's just kind of like, that was I productive or was I not? And you got to be really, really honest with yourself, right? So I have had my 5 decision maker conversations this week, right? I need to write my Sherpa today, and the course or the closer course outline is almost done. But dude, I had such the epiphany last night.
Oh,
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Now I need help with this, but I think I've got it. Okay. So a lot of this rides on this funnel guy that I'm working with, of him being able to build my funnel and to like market it to cold traffic very, very, very well. But if we can do that, then all of a sudden I'm the guy who can give consultants who don't want to sell a system that allows them to never have to be a salesperson ever.
Oh.
Because think about it, right?
Okay.
When you're a consultant, right, and you're going out on your own, it's never to be a salesperson. We've talked about this a lot,
Uh-huh.
You're really good at one thing and you just want to help clients and you don't want to be a salesperson at all. Like this is the thing that I keep hearing. John, I don't want to do it at all. Okay, awesome. So how about we put you into a system so that way you don't have to do it at all? You don't ever have to be a salesperson, right? Because what we could do is we could build funnel and do some marketing and stuff like that. So that way people are only ever coming in as, hey, I need your help, right? And so then what the consultant does is they say, cool, my job here is to help you figure out if you need something that I do or this other thing.
I need to hear more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to hear more about it because I'm not there yet.
You're not there yet. Yeah. No, I was talking about this with Melissa last night, and because here's the thing, like my skill set is sales, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't love to sell. So if I'm the guy who's got the skill set in this thing and I don't love it, I know exactly how hard it is for you to go out and sell and prospect and lead gen for yourself and everything else like this. So let's build you a system that you don't have to do the sales part of it that you hate, because you don't hate all of sales. You just hate the salesperson part of sales, the lead gen and the follow-up. So let's build you a system, handles the lead gen, handles the follow-up, and then all you have to do is qualify really well as the expert, which is what you are anyway. And then once we have that dialed in, right, and the process is in place, if you want me to help you find someone else to do that for you, we can.
That sounds okay. I got you now. I feel your okay. Yeah, that sounds promising.
So
I thought you were trying to pull this. Well, sales, not really sales. If it's in a system.
No, I mean,
okay.
I could go that way, but like,
yeah, no.
Here's the epiphany I had last night, right? Talking about blind spots and talking about personalities and stuff. I am not wired the same way as you are. right? Just from like a needs point of view. And I can tell myself that I do a good job of networking and getting out there and getting in front of lots of people and stuff like that. And I think I do a good job of it, but I only do it because I force myself to do it. I don't have that natural inclination. And here's the deal. There's a lot of people who are really good at very specific things that fall into my same category who want to go do their own thing. They know what they're doing. They just don't like all the crap. And cool. I've been there, right? Because the reason why this is so good is because like I can speak very, very clearly to these people because like look, if I can show you how this works and the system and everything, it's like this, we can do it for any skill you want. And you want to know how I know? Because my skill set is sales and I don't want to do this and I can still get it done.
Right. Yeah. No, I really like that. And I actually, I have a friend, Joey, I was talking to last night. He was holding a potluck with his group.
Mm-hmm.
So, just getting creative with getting people together.
Yeah, man.
And one of his concepts is that people spend way too much time doing things that aren't their strengths. Like we already have these lanes that we can sprint in, and we're like pressing against them because we think we've gotten so good at pretending to be something we're not, to make money or to whatever, make ourselves feel good or whatever, that people have just forgotten almost how to just run in their own really great lanes. And so he's got this concept he's working with. It's like, I just want to help people recognize they're already amazing at something and help them just do more of it, whatever it is. I don't care what it is.
That's a huge mission. I love that.
Yeah. So I've known him for a good long time. And we talk about that, man, you're in the right spot. Cause he's, he, like you, right. You just said you can talk to that, right? You have all this energy around it. Cause you can do it. He's the same way. He's the guy to teach that. So anyway, so I love that because you're taking a problem, right? That we know is out there that people don't want sales, and you're putting it into a system or a solution or like a process which you love. Like you love systems and data, and so you're marrying what you're good at with what people need, and that's exactly what we want, right?
Yeah,
that's the formula for winning.
Now the thing that this requires, right, is the marketing thing to be figured out and reproducible for others, right? And so I'm working with this guy Caleb, and we're doing some trade. He needs help with the sales stuff, and So we're going to be trading. And then I had this epiphany last night, and I'm like, I can't wait to blow him up and be like, dude, I got it. Because I have you read the Brunson book, .com Secrets?
Yeah.
This is my epiphany bridge. It's my attractive character. It's my hook story offer, and like everything just went, and just clicked into place. And I'm like, oh, damn, right? Because here's the deal, right? And this is important. I am connected with all these agency owners on Facebook, right? And so I see them talking about their lead gen and everything else like this. And it is so easy to be like, cool, I'm just going to go after like agency owners, right? And I might get some agency owners from, kind of changing the direction a little bit. Good morning, Gabriel. But the really cool thing is there's got to be hundreds of thousands of consultants who don't really want to work for Accenture anymore, right? Because they're tired of all the traveling and everything else like this. So they might want to go out on their own. What's that skill set look like? John's the guy who can help you, figure out your offering, build the marketing, and then teach you how to sell with authority. So that way you're just qualifying and closing and then going in service. And like in my head, I can see the entire value ladder, right? All the different levels and stuff like that because
Yeah, love it. I love it.
I'm fired up about it.
Yeah, I'll say the pet's back in your step. I can already tell.
Oh, dude. Yeah, for sure. Did a long walk with the family yesterday. And I think I kind of jacked my wrist up, so I'm not really doing handstands right now. Mm-hmm. And I just need something to get me out of the house. Like that doesn't really matter what. Just get outside and like build up a sweat and push yourself a little bit physically. Yeah. So I've been walking, but I think I'm going to start doing like some like weighted carries or something like that because, I just can't help but try to push myself a little bit harder. So I might be doing some weighted carries. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the pep is kind of back in my step. I feel really good about all this. The week has been a bit of a struggle, as I think I've been pretty transparent about this week. And it's going to happen, right? But here's the deal. I could have had a bad week working for somebody else making a fraction or being furloughed or something else like this. So,
Absolutely.
close
Yeah.
close the partnership deal, close another client this week, and working out like in stages of like another deal. So it's not all doom and gloom, right? So don't it's like don't take my commentary this week as like, oh man, it sucks to be an entrepreneur. It sucks to do anything on certain days, right? I mean, there are days where Dirk Nowitzki did not want to like get up and put on the jersey and go do hundreds of free throws, but he still did it, right? And this is what separates the people who make it and the people who don't. So you get perseverance.
That's true. That's true. We were shooting business first responders yesterday for a couple hours, doing this kind of we did the same batch approach all day, and one of the things that we talked about was, victim or victor. Like, it's always your choice. You always get to go, this sucks. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to wallow in it, or am I going to stand up and, just keep going? Because that's always the choice you have, which is awesome. That's true freedom that you get to always choose.
There is always another option. Like, you might not be able to see it in that moment, but like the thing I've been doing in my journaling is trying to hold myself to the standard of like, hey, did I make the right choices today? Okay, well, what choices did I make today, right? And when you can look back at it like that, and you can see, okay, well, I chose to do this here, and the Leadership and Self-Deception book. Have you read that?
Which one? Leadership what?
Leadership and Self-Deception.
Oh yeah, a long time ago. You brought that up. I need to go reread that one because that was one that blew my mind when I read it, and it's been a while. So,
dude, it's blowing my mind right now, and it's kind of breaking my head a little bit because part of that is like just really good timing, because it's got a lot of overlap with Extreme Ownership and Power of Full Engagement and a lot of these other books that I really enjoy and get a lot out of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot to this, and there's always another option. And somebody has an interview Monday with a company that I worked for a while, and they're like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And so I told them about it. And this company, it was a long time ago, like it was before you and I met, and they hired me, and I told them during the hiring process that my credit was bad. I was 23 years old, a long time ago, and the person who was doing the hiring didn't fully vet. So she hired me. I put in notice and got walked out because it was going to go work for a competitor. And then after 1 week, they're like, yeah, your credit's a little low. And then I got laid off at the end of the second week, And so I told him about that because I was like, hey man, like if you're going to go work there, make sure that your credit is solid because here's what happened to me. And he goes, oh man, that really sucks. And I was like, you know what? It's completely my fault. Like I'm the guy who destroyed my credit as a young kid. Right. And also I should have vetted a lot harder around like, hey, you need to go make sure that my credit isn't going to do, any kind of damage because I can't really leave this job until we know that for certain. So the only person to blame is me. And it was so easy to pivot to there as opposed to, I would say probably even like 6 or 7 months ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, screw those guys, and it's just, choosing to look about like how you could have done it differently, or you could put the blame on others.
Yeah. I was talking to Jay, one of the co-hosts, specifically about that thing of that there's actually a whole lot of freedom in ownership, even if it's something that you only had 2% to do with, and 98% was done at you, to you, around you. You still have ownership of the 2%. And so every single situation can be, okay, I'm going to step in right now and own this situation, whether it's my fault or not. You get to either take all the blame or a little bit of blame, but at that point now you told your mind, I'm in charge now. I'm taking up for this. So here's what's going to happen now, right? Mm-hmm. That's powerful once you really understand the implication it has on every single situation of your life like that, right? Because then you like wallowed and only applied for really crap jobs because you thought your credit was going to destroy all the job opportunities, and it was just on a really bad road. So, there's
powerful. There's so much around that extreme ownership, leadership, and self-deception stuff that is just, man. I think we can. The way that I think about it is like like Extreme Ownership is the first book, right? It's like figuring out how you impacted this outcome, so that way, because otherwise you're powerless, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, in the example that you just talked about, like you might only have 2% of a problem that you can like influence, but like that 2% is more than like what other people could.
Mhm.
And you're telling me that you couldn't like work your tail off to make it 3%?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's,
It was probably 10.
yeah, and so but like when you frame it like that, for me, it's like, man, like why would I not want to exercise every option I can around the things that I have control in? Because like the opposite is just powerlessness. Like I don't have any control over any of this stuff. Like if that doesn't make you like kind of feel a little bit weird, I would challenge you to like think about that, right? I mean, if you're not going to do it, who else is going to?
Yeah. Yeah. It's super, super, super crazy to think the amount of power you have over your own life.
Yeah.
You go down that road, not even from a like, wish it and it'll happen, claim it, it'll happen. Not any of that. It's just today's day, and I want to do this today, and I'm going to own everything that happens between here and there, because tomorrow I'll know how I can do it better, and I get to own that.
Yeah.
So and that's a great book. So I'm definitely going to put that on the list.
Man.
I'm actually just scrolling very slowly through the inner game of tennis.
Okay.
I'm not even halfway through, just because I'm taking my time with it, because it's just, I've read each chapter 3 times and I'm not halfway.
What?
Yeah.
Are you messing with me? Are you saying the book is good just because you know how much I like it?
No. I'm telling you, like I've heard all these concepts before, but when someone puts it in a new frame for you, it really it like mixes up the bottle, right? And so your brain's like going like this. And I've heard every single one of the concepts he said, but the different frame mixes. It's a different drink. It's a same a new bottle and a different mix, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it for sure. Like I was gonna finish it this week. I was like, finish the book. I was like, why? I'm enjoying this really leisurely stroll through it, where I'm just kind of thumbing, going back. So I'm gonna take it to the place I want to take it.
Nice, man. I dig that. My friend was showing me this like new way of like speed reading, because it's like these like multiple passes to it and stuff like this. And we were talking about like how we read and stuff like this. And I'm reading this book, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. It's all about like psychedelic research and therapy and stuff like this. It's been a terribly interesting book, but now we're to like the really, really dry and boring science part, right? So like it's already got his experiences and the history and stuff like that. And one of the things that that my friend Jeremy was talking about when doing speed reading is like having an agenda. Like, what am I trying to get out of this book, and stuff like that. And then once you hit that thing, put it down, right? Because you have to build the trust and confidence in yourself of making, okay, cool. I came here for this. I did this thing, and now I can go. And so with the Michael Pollan book, I'm like, cool, like I've gotten everything I needed out of this thing, right? Yeah. But the completionist in me wants to be able to say, I read every single page, even though like that's ridiculous. But, and no one really cares at the end of the day, because I read, probably 85% of the book at this point.
I think I learned speed reading because of that, my completionist mentality. Mm-hmm. One of the major reasons outside of, I can read more books, was I don't ever want to not read to the end. And if I know how to speed read, I can speed read past the points I don't want to read.
That's fair. Yeah. I don't know. I read quickly, but I'm not, good job, Gabe. Which one? Because we've been talking about two.
He said leadership and self-deception.
Oh, so good. God. Yeah. I'm listening to it on like Audible right now, and what's so funny is the whole family went for the walk yesterday, but Alice got really hot because she was on her scooter, so they came back, and then I was like, man, I didn't bring my headphones, and I was like, I'm the only guy out here on this track, because we walk around this like high school track, so I literally was just walking around like holding my phone up to my ear, being that guy, and didn't care at all. So good. Get out of the box. Get out of the box. Can't.
Yeah, I love it. That's good.
I love it.
All right, so let's talk about. I hit mine this week already because I've been cranking, and mine
will be done. Yeah,
wasn't that aggressive, which is fine because it doesn't have to be, because it was necessary. I've already got my stuff in mind for next week. What about you?
Let's go over yours because I don't really have mine in mind yet, but I can figure.
Okay.
I know what mine probably should be. So,
well, mine I have 2 lists next week on my mind. I need to create a list of people to reach out to, like we talked to at the 12-week.
Yeah.
I need to actually physically put it in my hands, create it so that I'll use it. So that's one thing next week. And then I have a second list of podcast guests for Quirk, because I'm going to be co-hosting the show. It's going to be potential leads for Quirk, which I'm going to get paid on, stuff like that. So I need to make a list of podcast guests that are potential clients. So really, I'm going to spend my time in, digging into potential clients next week.
Cool.
On 2 sides, right? So that's the 2 things I really want to make sure are done and complete. And of course, I'm going to have posts. I'm going to have my Friday Focus newsletter. I'm going to have all the other things like we normally talk about. But those are the 2 are the bet for me, because that is an obstacle that I can say, well, I don't have the list yet, so I don't necessarily have to hit all the asks, and I know that. So that's why it needs to be the BIL bet.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. How much are you going to bet? He's nervous, folks. He's nervous.
Yeah.
Why are you nervous?
I'm not nervous. I'm actually thinking about the fact that that the $500 isn't really exciting to me.
And it begins, folks. The degeneracy begins.
Yeah. So, because I'm like, I'll hit it. $500, I'll hit it. No biggie. But you know what I haven't done is I haven't rewarded myself. So I think I'm missing part of the formula that makes me okay with the numbers, right? So like I should be getting what, $50 this week off my $500 bet.
Was this a 10% bet?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Okay. Well, I need to take my $50 so that I can celebrate too. Last week I didn't take my win.
Oh. What's funny is I've been keeping a running total on my whiteboard of my BIL bet lifetime winnings. I'm at $310. And like right now, like I'm not spending the $310 because it's just kind of like I don't really need anything right now, right? And I'm trying to balance this idea of like the motivation of like the negative and the positive with also just not buying every damn thing I look at. Like, and God, it is, you want to change your life, like just impose that you're not allowed to buy anything the same day you think about it. Like your life changes so significantly. Like, oh my God.
That is so sad. That is so sad.
Because like, here's the deal. Like, I didn't even think it was a problem. And then, because for years, I'm the guy who just like buy what I want for myself. Right. And because, if it's too expensive, then I don't buy it. And then I save up for it. But like, it makes it really hard for me to shop for. And Melissa was like, God, you just buy everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop buying everything. Let's just, and so I hopped off of a bunch of like email lists because, email marketing is mind control, which, is a thing. And decided that like I could add something to a wish list on Amazon, but if it wasn't grocery related or like a direct business need, it had to stay on that wish list for at least like 14 days. And
if you didn't want it after that.
Exactly. Yeah. I haven't bought, I don't know. I mean, I think that my spending has probably gone down by more than half.
Yeah, well, you wrecked America. See, it's your fault.
I've destroyed everything.
That's right. We aren't spending now. We're saving, or
and like it's weird because it's just what's in front of you, right? I mean, if you're constantly looking at like Amazon and these gear blogs and the emails and all of this stuff, it's like there's no other way for you to be other than, oh, I need that. Well, they have it. Why don't I have it? And it's not even nefarious, right? I mean, it's not even malicious. There's no bad intent about it. It's just like constantly in front of you until the point where you're like, why can't I have that? Oh, you know what? I can have that. Let's go do that.
It might be the same mechanism, or at least tied to the same mechanism makes us want to be on social media every day and respond to all the things we want to respond to. I need to do something about this now because I can't control my own, whatever that is. Because I remember when I was playing baseball that I had a coach that would tell me to wait. What was it? It had something to do with food, because we were talking about nutrition and becoming elite athletes and stuff like that. And it was a similar thing of like, wait X amount of time before you eat, even if you're hungry, just to challenge yourself to say, brain, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Like, so it brings me back to that too, where it's like, you know, monks have something there, like, and be able to say no to yourself, you know, or to say wait.
Yeah. Have you ever done like multi-day fasts?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you gone?
14 is the longest I've gone.
Whoa, that's way longer than anything I've done, dude. That's legit.
Yeah. Well, you get past a certain amount of days, it becomes just like a new
normal
kind of like thing. But yeah, the first 5 days were brutal.
Yeah. Were you juicing or anything, or just 14 days of water only?
14 days of water. Yeah, I did 21-day juice fast. I'll juice only.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. I want to do that again.
Huh.
But yeah, I would probably not voluntarily do another 14-day fast just with water only, unless there's a good reason to do it, because it's so far out of our normal lifestyle just here.
Yeah.
But you know, I do 3 days from time to time, just because that's something that gets me where I need to be mentally and spiritually. That it puts me in a place. It's plenty. 3's plenty to get me there. So. Yeah,
I've done there for a while. I was doing 3-day fasts for like once a month. I would do a 3-day fast, and you know, the first day is rough because you're thinking about food, but then after that, it just kind of goes away. But like when you can't turn to food, right? You turn to whatever's like bothering you, right? And what's really interesting is like you start to see some of like the unhealthy things that you have out like towards food when you're setting yourself apart from it and stuff like that. So. Fast. I mean, I kind of do like an intermittent fasting schedule for like how I eat daily, but I do kind of want to get back on some multi-day fasting because, you know, I think it's helpful. And then there's all the cancer studies that show that like fasting for longer periods of time kind of reduce the amount of free radicals and all that stuff. But I'm not a doctor. I barely play one badly on the internet, so don't listen to me. Go do your own research. But fasting has been pretty huge for me.
Yeah, fasting's been around forever, probably for a reason. So
yeah, there's more research on like fasting and like diet studies than anything else, right? Because it's just been around for so long, and there's a reason why so many religious practices are tied to fasting, because it forces you to sit and not use any coping mechanisms, you know, at all. And it's important, right? Sitting in silence. I can't wait to read the new holiday book because apparently it's a lot about sitting in silence, or silence is the key, I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll be interested in that one.
Yeah,
I just got one on Solitude last year that I really, really liked. That was a religious one, and silence is not something that I have done well before. So the fasting thing, the only other thing I thought about, like you said, after a certain amount of days, it kind of, when you don't have food, you have nowhere else to turn but the stuff that's bothering you. It's like you've got mud on your glasses all the time, and you're just so used to it. And when you fast, it's like you clean off the glasses, and all of a sudden new stuff becomes visible. You're like, whoa, right there in front of me. But if you're always ready, you'll never see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been really kind of caught up on like this idea of blind spots and like why the word is like such like a great word, because you can't even see it. It's not that you're willfully avoiding it. It's like it doesn't even hit the radar that like that's a thing. But I like your analogy right then about the dirty glasses, right? Because like Alice wears glasses and she's 8 and she'll come up and like I can see how filthy her lenses are like from like over here, you know? Yeah. And I'm just like, how do you see anything? And she's like, it's not that bad. And then I'm like, can I borrow your glasses? And she says yes, and I clean them. And she's like, oh, this is so much better. Yeah. Because you can get used to anything, guys. Like really honestly, anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's one of the best and worst things about humans.
Yes.
We can make it through anything because our bodies can adjust, our minds can adjust, but then we can live through anything and not improve our circumstances, which is crazy. So
yeah. The way that you influence your situation is by like taking charge of it and ownership and looking for ways that you can own those little bitty things around you. Like, if you're arguing with somebody, like find out why it's your fault, right? Because when you're, and I don't like this metaphor too much, but I've been thinking about it a lot. Like when you're pointing a finger at somebody else, like there's 4 other finger or 3 others like pointing back at you, and that's true because, if we weren't so like fired up and ready to go at the drop of a hat against like other people, and you could just let stuff go, arguments don't happen. Like they just don't. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and it's okay to be passionate about stuff. I'm not saying like you can't run around without any feelings or emotions, but just be aware that they lead you to places that aren't always the most healthy, so
more often than not.
Yeah. So find your ownership footing, right, of whatever's going on. Like, I mean, even if it's 2%, I mean, 2% is significant, right? If I'm playing poker and and there's a 2% edge, I'm in there.
Yeah,
I'm in there, right? Yeah. They say that the difference between playing like suited cards versus offsuit cards is about 2%, right, in regular hold'em. So 8, so like 9-10 offsuit is not a hand you should be playing, but 9-10 suited, it now becomes playable just because of the fact that it's 2% better than what it was because you now have flush draw combinations.
Right.
That's significant. Like over the long term, right? Yeah. If you never played 9-10 offsuit ever again, but you played 9-10 suited well, you would see significant growth because you've got that 2% edge, and you're just making the choice to do more with that 2%.
Yeah, it's interest.
Yeah.
First over time, like was Einstein said that the most powerful invention in the world is
compounding interest. Yeah.
That 2% on 2% on 2% on 2% on 2% becomes insane. So,
well, and that's why like my motto is like 1% better.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to be 1% better in one of the things that I'm really interested in. Right. And I wrote this out on the board the other day. I think I put it in the Discord group. Right. There's my health. Right. There's my family, and then I think the other one was business stuff. So find the 2% and keep working at it, and all of a sudden you can have some pretty substantial different. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that I'm the same guy that I was in 2013, right? Like, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that that's not true. And I would even go so far as to say it's like I'm not the same guy that I was in February, as far as like how I view some of this stuff and being willing to take ownership for stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, how are you going to get 1% better next week then, John? What's the build at?
Let's talk about it. Okay, so next week, I am going to reach out and attempt to schedule these interviews for the course with the outside experts, right? Can't make them like actually schedule, but we've had a conversation. They're open to it. So I'm sending them the schedule links so that way we can get it on the books. That's the part I have control over.
Yep.
So I need to do that. The other thing I need to do.
Is there anything around the course that you need to do?
Yeah, I'm going to write out the introduction, I would say, for the course, right? Because and this is why outlining is a big deal. Once the outline is like completely finished later on today, I'll have a better grip on that. But yeah, the goal would be to also kind of write out a couple of things. Oh, and my client, we ran assessments on him and the people that we've been talking to, and we're moving forward with final rounds and interviews for 2 closers for this person. One of them will get an offer by next Friday. So he is super stoked. We put in like a fair amount of work. It went longer than I thought it was going to, but it's cool because the 2 people that we're interviewing are polar opposites on disc. So he should have a really clear, okay, I like this guy and here's why versus this person and here's why. because we started with 5. I made him kind of go down to 3 options. We've done that, and now we're going down to 2 options, and he's going to pick one by next Friday. So goal is to make an offer to a closer by next Friday after doing interviews with each of them. So for client work, I need to do 2 interviews, record them, and send them over to the client. So.
Okay. That's it. So which part of all that is the bet on all 3 or just the first 2? Because the third one's more like work. It's like that's what you're doing.
Schedule outside, and then okay. So here's my build bet for next week. I need to get these 2 interviews done and offer by Friday. I need to schedule these outside experts for the course, offer only, because I can't make them say yes.
Yep.
And then I'm going to write 2 course sections next week.
Okay. So let's break that down for the peeps. I think it's something we can do better on our Fridays. Let's make sure that we're on our bill bets pointing to how it's pointing back to our 12-week goals.
That's fair. Yeah, completely fair. So my big 12-week goal is to get a course put together for people who want to be at-home sales closers, right? So this week was about creating the outline. That'll be finished up today. So next week, the next steps are figuring out the outside experts, right? Because I do want to bring in some expertise in areas that are not mine around taxes and business formation.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I need to, write and complete 2 sections of this course. So I'll be asking Jake about the best way to do that for him. Because I'm a very vocal guy, like I can do this stuff all day long. So what it might do is I might do like lots of recording and then Melissa can write it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah. But the goal would be to get two sections of the course done that I can actually own.
Cool. Okay. That's good. And then, my 12 week is to get X amount of people into my group. So I get X amount of people to buy my course, to get X amount of people as consulting clients by the end of the 12 week. So we have those numbers stacked up, which means I got to have a list for cold reach out, and I got to have an organic side, which is the podcast side, feeding people into these funnels. So that's why I'm picking the goals this week. Which is great because we kind of subconsciously pick the goals we know that we think we should be doing. But if we're not checking, right, we're not measuring, we're not saying why, then we can fall off course pretty easily. But I felt last week I had a little bit of a week like that.
Me too.
Doing things that were good, but they were not focused specifically deliberately on that 12-week goal. So,
and that's the thing, right? Like this is why having a bill is so important, right? Because I can go to Jake, right, and he's going to call me on my stuff, right? How does that lead you to your 12-week goal? Well, right, because sometimes it doesn't, right? Because it's super easy for me to like drum up a big long list. That way, I feel really important and cool and all of this stuff, but. That stuff has got to be taking me someplace, right? Because like in addition to that is I still need to have five decision maker combos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stuff you need to do doesn't go away.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of what you're measuring and betting against should be something motivating, which is probably goal.
Yeah, because once you do something for like a couple of weeks, in my opinion, it's no longer something you get to brag about. It's just not something that you do, right? So 5 daily value posts and a Sherpa newsletter is just part and parcel of like being me now, right? So I don't claim credit for that in the build bet, but like I am still doing those like every week, So the build bet is around the stuff where you're going to struggle, right? Because struggle's there, and The
rest is just work. Well, and I think there's there's an interesting psychological thing that happens when you take something that was a bet and you create a new habit around it, and it no longer becomes a bet because you're doing it. There's this pattern in your brain building of confidence, of knocked it down, normal, knocked it down, it's normal, knocked it down. And then if it falls off, probably needs to go back on the build bet table, or at least examined.
Yeah.
Why fall off? Because otherwise, you're only betting on stuff you know you can do, and that's never going to challenge you, take you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the really like key component to this, is that it's supposed to motivate you, right? It's supposed to, scare you a little bit, but the hope, right? And we're seeing the shift a little bit is like Jake is now really, really confident in the fact that he can get this stuff done, right? Like, I mean, how much more is your output, would you say, on like a week since we've been doing this versus before?
I'll call it focused output, because I'm always high output just because I never stop. But focused output, I got to say 30 to 40% more.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it's just like, cool, I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay. But now it's starting to shift towards, I want the reward. I want the reward. I want the reward. And really at this point, it's just about, I like knocking off my BIL lifetime dollar amount and like writing the new one, right? I mean, there's momentum to this idea, right? That it, like, this all builds on each other. And for me, as a guy who's radically impatient, like, I want everything right now. Like, oh my God, I'm the worst at this, I would say. This is all showing me that, like, hey, like, it's time, and you can have as much as you want, but you got to put in the time to get it, right? And so it's forcing me to slow down and zoom out a little bit. That's very hard for me. I tend to like really zoom in and get into the details and get overwhelmed. So there's some nice balance in this about, cool, like, big things take time, like, put in the effort and do it right. So like I'm kind of checking both boxes for me, like the box that wants to plan and have everything perfect, and also the box that says like get freaking going. So I don't know.
Yeah, when I read The Obstacle Is the Way, I probably had a little bit different reaction than you did, just because of our personality differences. Because to me, I'm impatient for sure, but I care, like, not that you don't. I'm just saying, like, my like mega watt light is focused on, I can do this better, right? Not because I'm not confident, because I feel very confident in my own abilities and things. This could be better. This could be even better, right? Because I'm always pushing other people to be better, so it's always shined back on me too. And so when I read that, I was like, okay, so you're saying that the journey to get to excellent is actually the thing. It's not the end goal, right? And so it was like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. I don't like it, but now I get that. Right? And so now, probably 3 or 4 years since I read that book, and now I'm at this graduated part in my own mind of course the journey is the best part. Now, how do I make sure that my journey is leading to something that I'm going to be happy with when I get to this part of the journey? But I'm going to enjoy the journey, and I'm going to learn something in the journey. So it'd be interesting to hear your take on what you took based on your personality out of that book.
The thing that I took, well, I mean, I took a lot from the book. The very first page, it's talking about how like Marcus Aurelius is locked down in 2 wars and everything else like this, and he goes into his tent to write for no one other than himself. Like that's the very first page of this book. Like, it's the preface, and I'm reading this thing, and I'm just like, damn, like, this guy can journal in the middle of a war, and I'm struggling like writing on a Saturday because I'm not working. Like, what the, and I'm just mad at myself after this. I'm like, God, like, I'm nothing in comparison, to this guy as far as accomplishments. And so then, like, reading the book and forcing myself to kind of like journal through it, of like really like asking myself some hard questions, is nobody shares stories about things that go well. Nobody, right? Like a couple of years ago, we went to Colorado for 2 weeks and just got to like drive around and camp, and it was legit. And the favorite story that we tell about that is about how we started to go up a dirt bike path in a 4Runner with a trailer, and it was sketchy and had to back it down, and like backing down trailers on like, very thin dirt bike paths is like super scary. And like, that's the story we talk about, because like there was struggle and adversity and we got through it. And like, that's the thing that sticks out in our heads. And so in this book, when he's talking about like, hey, the obstacle is the way, like, it is not just a barrier to get past. It is the thing that's going to make you better on the other side of it. That's what really started to shift the COVID idea of like, oh, this isn't like just some kind of victim mentality. Like this is a gift, because it could be worse, right? I could be furloughed or laid off or working for some job that I hate and not knowing like how I'm going to make my money. But on the other side of this, like there's going to be great stories to tell and share with other people. And this is probably not the best way to look at it, but like I am better than any consultant who started their business today because of the struggles that I've gone through this year, right? Like I am mentally tougher than these people, and not in like I'm better than you thing. It's just like this experience is important. It matters to like the cause, right? Because this is going to happen again, right? Times of like isolation and quarantine have happened in our past, and great stuff comes from it. Like William Shakespeare wrote tons of stuff. There's been lots of people during times of quarantine that have put out huge life-changing things, right? And I'm not saying I'm going to be one of those people, but I do think that in 10 years from now, the people that we look up to are going to be looked up to because of the work that they've done during this time. So that is what Obstacle did for me, because before that I was just pissed about the situation, right? I was mad at everything. I was feeling like I was trying to live all of these kind of like mindsets for like other people. So that way, I'd have the talking point. And then reading that book, it was just like, oh, I don't need to do this for other people. I need to do this for myself. Right. And it kind of took this, like, that's when the clever stuff started to pop up, that we've had lots of conversations about. I've got this need to be clever. Okay. Yeah, man, it like, talk about the catalyst for change. Like that book and that very first page, like there has never been another time in my life where that would have been more helpful than the time that I read it. So, yeah,
that's awesome. Because at the end of the day, we talk about this all the time. The changes that you can make in your mindset are the largest percentage changes that you'll make.
Yeah, my buddy Mike posted this a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if it's his or not, but Michael Peroni, who's commented on the show a couple of times, look, you're going to spend the majority of the time in your head, make it a good place to be.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, damn. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said too about the not wanting to, something about how you figure out the clevers, that you really need to be doing the stuff for yourself. And I think there's a kind of a double loop in there too. Is like, don't worry about other people because you want, you live in your head, so you want to be good. But on the back end of that, by concentrating on that and being, as best as you can in your head for yourself, you end up being better for the people. Yeah. So it's like a weird backwards.
Yeah,
I got to love the people around me and take care of them, but I can't worry about them all the time and what they think of me, because then I'm actually being worse for them.
What's really weird is I'm having like this thought right here, and this isn't fully formed. So hold on, let me sit on that for a second and make sure I really believe it before I say it out loud.
Well, ask it as a question then, because if you don't believe it.
Yeah, that's fair. Damn it. How do I ask this as a question? Let's talk for a second. It'll come back to me. Okay. But yeah, man, when you can take control over any one aspect in your life, whether it's your income, whether it's your time, because everybody's got different priorities, right? And that's totally fine, right? Like, but you need to know where those priorities are, so that way you can actually prioritize one thing, right? Like, if that's in business, right? It's not a bad thing to say, okay, I got to put my business above my family. At least, I mean, hopefully not for forever, but at least for a certain time period, because you got to get it to a certain stage so that way you can afford to take care of your family, right? But if you're prioritizing your family over your business and over these important things, then if you're not at certain levels of revenue, then you can't pay your bills, right? So there's an honesty that happens whenever you're really honest about your priorities, and then you can start to like schedule your time and own your time in your calendar around the really clear priorities, right? Because like right now, my priorities are the business, right? And that's not to say that I don't prioritize Alice and Melissa. I do, but it's like, if one has to come at the expense of another, I've got that clearly kind of lineated in my head about like what steps in front of the other thing. But the other really cool thing is my family knows that I've got the bill bets and these things that I do each week and stuff like this, and they give me time to do it. Now, then it's on me to use my time effectively, right? Because the thing that I wasn't doing before is when I was working from 7:45 whenever we started this thing until like 8:15 at night, is I was mentally prioritizing time in the office, not prioritizing like getting stuff done, just like being here in the office, because it kind of filled the stroke of the struggling entrepreneur and everything else like this. I'm doing everything I can. Right. Well, I wasn't really doing everything I can, because doing everything I can includes spending time with my family and making sure that my head's right. So,
yeah, the shift. I think there's a shift, like a small shift in there of. And yeah, I think you just said it, like prioritizing time in the office versus getting stuff done. But even a step further, like I'm into a spot now where I feel like I'm challenging myself. We talked about this early on in BIL, is I can get done by 4:00 and grow my business. So am I prioritizing the effectiveness of my time versus just getting stuff done versus being in the office versus like, and it actually, it comes from a couple places, right? Of me, prioritizing my time with my family because my kids' ages, I need to spend time with them now because I won't get it back. They're getting to that age where they're going to leave somewhat soon, so I'm not going to miss that.
Yeah.
But also, if what I'm about is helping people be more effective and accountable, then I got to live it. I have to live it before I can lead it, right? You can't go where you haven't lead. You can't leave where you haven't gone. Sort of mentality. Not really. You can teach in theory, but you can't lead, I don't think, unless you've experienced it, which just kind of ties back to the obstacle is the way thing. Like, until you've been there and you figure it out for yourself, it's really hard to show someone, well, here's what I did, and it worked for me.
Yeah. Because before that, in the Joe Dispenza book, not to cut you off, he makes this line that knowledge without experience is philosophy, right? Which is true, right? If you haven't been through it, you don't exactly know, right? And you can figure out best practices and stuff like that, but like that's all still philosophy. And so you go through it the very first time. And I think about that line a lot, because the other side of that line is to have experience and no knowledge is willful ignorance,
right? Which
is like,
you want both.
Damn, that's crazy, And the Joe Dispenza book was a pretty big deal for me as well. Yeah, man, yeah. I was just I was getting a stroke, right? Some sort of like ego stroke off of just spending marathon amounts of time here in the office. And I wasn't thinking about, okay, what do I need to get done? Like what are the non-negotiables for this week to move my business forward, right? And continue on this path that I'm on without spending, 60, 70 hours in this room. Yeah. Because I was just because essentially, right, I think on some level I wanted, if it did fail, right, for whatever reason, then I could be, well, guys, I did everything I could. I was in here for 12 hours a day, right? When really the thing is like, I'm just not going to fail because the activities I'm doing are leading me someplace. Like they're not work just for the sake of work, right? They're like, I want to get this course launched in 12 weeks or less. So I need to make moves and momentum towards getting it done each week. And the thing is, guys, like, this stuff slips out of your grasp so easily. Like, I sat down to write my Sherpa on Wednesday and got sidetracked, and tried to do it again yesterday and got sidetracked. So now today with the deadline, it's going to get done. So I almost want to like have daily deadlines, like, because I get so much juice out of cool crunch time. Let's go. Right. And yesterday on the walk, I was like, man, I should do this every day. Right. Come here, do BIL, go for a walk. And because like what it does is it reduces the amount of time that I have to fill with work activities. So it forces me to be more productive. So,
all right. It's coming. Here comes it. You ready?
What?
Okay. I think we need to build that for next week. Let's keep the stuff. Okay. Well, the main things. 4:00 every day. Because when you reduce the amount of time, you push the distractions out of it.
So here's what I'm going to say about that, because the struggle for me about that is, we do the podcast at night.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good exception.
So that doesn't really count, because like, I don't really think about it as work in the first place, and then
but it's pre-scheduled, so I mean, you can't just bail on that. And
then the other, and that might be head trash. Right, this funnel guy that I'm working with is in Seattle, so there's a 2-hour time difference, and he's a nurse.
Schedule
so, So he works a full-time job as a nurse
Uh-huh.
in a hospital, and is kept quite busy by the hospital. So we've been chatting in the evenings, right? So
Okay. Well, interesting. Well, here's the thing though. Like, here's what's my goal with the 4 o'clock is not to shut down night times. It's to prove to ourselves that between 8 and 4 p.m. we can literally do anything we need to do that's on our list for our bill bets.
Okay.
Be done
I
by
love that. Be done by 4, because next Friday we're going to the zoo. So like I plan to do BIL, and that's kind of it. So I've got a 4-day week next week, so I really need to like prioritize my time to make sure that I do this thing. So
you have a 4 o'clock day and a 4-day week, so you basically 25 to 30 hours of work next week.
I'm already anxious. Like someone just turned on the Bunsen burner under my belly. Like just thanks, Jake.
That's a 30% though. You get to bank. That's bankable, 30%.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And I was gonna say yours was gonna be 30% anyway, because of part of the bill bet seemed like it was gonna be a stretch for you. Oh, the creating of the list. That's not Jake's strong suit, guys, like at all. And it could be argued. What's that?
I'm gonna get help.
Yeah, exactly. It could be argued that like that should have been like this week, but he got his build bet done. So next week he's going to build this list, and this is way outside of his comfort zone because he's got to sit with data and figure it all out. And so like that alone for me, if you get that thing done, like that was going to be a 30% bet for you, as long as we had some clarity around what the list needed to look like. Like how many people you need to put on the list?
We had the number. We came up with a number. I'll have to go back to the.
Yeah, I think it was like 150, maybe 150 people.
Yeah. Okay.
So. Yeah, I mean,
and I'm about to show it to you. I'm about to show it to you. I'm about to put it up on the camera. It's got to be a real thing. I can't just say I did it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Well, I'm down with the 4 o'clock if you are, because this is something I've been since we started, Bill. I've been on because
this has just been like circling around the drain for Jake. Like he just wants to dive down this loophole, but he's not sure that he can yet, and so now he's just like, I'll do it if you do it. Yeah. You're like me and my buddy whenever we walked into the Kung Fu school, and he was like, I'll do it if you do it. And then I did it and he didn't. So hopefully this turns out the other way.
Well, I do what I say. So.
No, absolutely. I just think that story is funny because he didn't want to do Wing Chun. He wanted to do Manus. And I was like, cool, I'll join Manus if you join. He was like, yeah, man, I'm in. And I joined and he didn't. And so then I did Manus for 8 or 9 months and then quit and started doing Wing Chun. And man, I've seen that same thing so many times on the other side of it, of like the two friends show up. And what's really funny is whenever it happens, it's the athletically talented one who quits, like really? 100% of the time. Absolutely. Like I can think of about 6 different pairs of like students who've joined at the same time and they were friends, and one of them was more healthy than the other one. And it's always the lesser healthy one who stays, because my theory is that the struggle shows you that the work is enough faster than when you're expecting to walk in there and have a bunch of talent and have it all figured out.
Yeah. Which they're the ones mentally that probably need it more.
Yeah, because Kung Fu and Jiu-Jitsu and these things are really great equalizers, because you can be really great in like other sports and have zero carryover, right? So I think that what happens, right, is that you get in there with your buddy who you think you're better than athletically, and then you're struggling as well, right? And that struggle makes you better, but
you thought you were your buddy. Yeah. You would pass them and stuff. So
yeah. Humbling moment, right? Of, oh dang, I'm not as good as I thought, and my buddy is struggling the same ways that I am, and that's a lot for some people to like wrap their heads around.
It is. Well, I think it's a good ending spot right here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and we're right at 8:45. So we have a bill bet. So I'm going to put it on us in our Discord channel to check in with each other at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because that's how we got to do it.
That's how we got to do it.
Both ways, because I can already foresee a day where I'll get this 358 ping.
Okay, so let's talk about this then. Should we make our daily check-in at 2? So that way it's like cool. Like, you get a nice little like kick in the rear.
Let's do 3.
You want to do 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Because like that's like Thursday essentially, right? We're turning 3 to 4 into a Thursday every day.
Let's have Thursdays every day. What time Thursday? 3 o'clock.
Thursdays every day. Thursday, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Thursday starts.
Thursday, baby.
Every day is Thursday.
On Wednesday.
The good thing about that is you get paid the next day, every day.
That's an entrepreneur. You get paid when you close.
That's true. That's true. Free food tomorrow. Yeah, man. Let's end it there, Bill. This was awesome.
Love it. Awesome, Bill. Well, have a great Friday. Ooh. All right.
I'm gonna go get my walk on,
right.
probably 6,000 steps, and then come back and knock out all this stuff. And I'm gonna try to see if I can get done by 4 today.
Test run it. Me too, actually. No, I don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right,
All right, Bill.
See you, Bill.